What's going on, everyone? My name's Tenebris and welcome to my feedback video on Road to Vostok's weapons. This will give you a little insight to things like weapon damage, but mostly is aimed as a generalized feedback video for the developer. So, if you have any feedback regarding the weapons in Road to Vostok, please pop it into the comments down below. We'll be covering a bunch of stuff in this video, from creating variety in weapons to handling and accuracy. And if you agree with any of the feedback I give, maybe consider leaving a thumbs up on the video. But for now, let's get into this hopefully concise feedback. Now, a saving grace to the game's future is that weapon stats are yet to be implemented, which is why a lot of the weapons feel samey here in the demo. So when weapon stats are properly assigned, I hope to revisit this topic and have a lot of improvements to show you all from the introduction of this one essential feature. Let's quickly go over the damage value of each type of weapon, which is pretty quick and easy. A headshot is a kill no matter the weapon. Pistols and the SMG all take 4 shots to the body, while everything above a pistol only takes 2 body shots, excluding the shotgun, which just takes 1 kinda lucky shot. So firstly, for pistols, we have the S.T.A.L.K.E.R, which will be chambered for 9x18, and should hopefully be the kinda weakest weapon in the game, unless if the developer plans for smaller calibers. For now, the samey feeling is the worst with the pistols, as they could all have very individual weapon feels, with 9x18 being generally pretty crummy over longer ranges, but having less recoil than 9x19 or any sort of ACP rounds. The G7 and the SP22 are next up as the 9x19 pistols, and I feel these should be mostly interchangeable but have minute differences, like reload speed or maybe the general direction of kick, with the higher end SP22 having better stats, not in regards to damage, but in the smaller details of how the gun handles. The G7 should probably be a bit of a beater pistol, maybe degrading its durability faster than a higher end pistol. But again, things like damage should be reliant more on the ammunition than the gun. Here's a bit more footage for the SP22, but there's already improvements with the SP22 on the more small scale side, having what I consider to be better iron sights. Then lastly, the C1911, which should hopefully be on the stronger end of pistols when we get to the point of having weapon stats, and have higher velocity as well, as it is chambered in a higher pistol caliber at 45 ACP. Now for the one SMG we have so far, the PM5. And plain and simple for SMGs is that they should have more power and damage than a 9mm pistol, but less damage than a higher caliber pistol. Just simply based on the larger the weapon, generally the power is increased too, even if just by a small amount. With the small calibers out of the way, let's move on to rifles. And as a major point of feedback for the 5.56 guns is that their recoil is maybe a bit too easy to control. I think the KM81 is a great example of a gun with a foregrip to help with stability, but the other 5.56 weapons could have a heavier recoil to them. As well, a small but minor bug, the camera clips when you have max weapon FOV on the MA14. Nothing huge, but maybe the default arm position could be lowered a bit to avoid it. Otherwise, it's just a video game thing, sadly. The K461 is still my favorite though, even with the name change. I'm really stoked to see how sick this gun can get once weapon attachments and stats are fully in the game. Next for rifles is the AKS-74U, and personally, just like a gun with a foregrip, I think the 74U is actually a really solid example that doesn't need as much work as the other weapons. It should be relatively easy to control, and it is, so I see no qualms with that. or its ammunition having roughly the same firepower as 5.56 does, because 5.45 and 5.56, it's pretty much the same ammunition. Though variants of 5.45 could have a lot more penetration potentially than 5.56, we'll have to see how ammunition kind of plays out here in the game. Now for the first marksman rifle of the game, the VSS, and a small visual bug, but the fire selector doesn't change when you use the key. Hopefully that could get fixed up later, as it's a hugely useful visual tool. As well, I hope all ammunition will have a different feel to it someday here in RTV. The 9x39 for the VSS should feel a lot different than the 5.56. Now for the RM870, the current only shotgun of the game, and I think this is probably one of the best feeling guns in the entire game. The manual pump action is sick, and I can't wait for that to be combined with multiple shotgun shells and proper reloading. The shotgun is a bit to adjust to, but once you start landing your shots with it, it's really gnarly. The only thing is its effective range could maybe be reduced, but I feel wrong even suggesting that, so really keep the shotgun as is, dude. So lastly, for sniper rifles, there's just one big key thing, and that is please let us zero our scopes for different ranges. Right now, it's maybe set at like 75 meters or something, and that feels just too far for most of the encounters you have in the current map in RTV. If we start getting bigger maps, then 75 meters will probably do fine. But for now, sniping just feels a bit off, at least to me personally. Lacking things like prone and hold breath doesn't really help the flow of sniping either. The bullet rise and stuff like that feels pretty okay to me, but it's just really hard to tell what's entirely happening without knowing where that zero is. And again, when looking at the bullet caliber, the SVD and the Mosin should be outperforming the SA-85 in terms of damage and long-range velocity, but again, that'll all happen when the ammunition system is properly put into place here. So let's just summarize this whole dang video here. Weapons should handle differently based on caliber and weapon size and barrel length and all of those factors. 5.56 guns could have a bit more recoil overall. The 74U is great, but larger AKs could probably kick more. There's minor visual bugs with the MA14 clipping and the VSS fire selector, and sniping could benefit from zeroing, prone, and hold breath. You can't get much more concise than a good old bullet point summary. There's obviously a lot more feedback in here, but I feel these are the core points of focus. So there we go, folks. It's honestly so awesome watching this game be built from the ground up, and I think feedback videos like this, though a bit dry, are necessary in seeing Road to Vostok evolve into the perfect shooter. So for now, thank you for watching the video. If you've left feedback for the dev, you're a legend, and I will catch you all in the next one. Until then, peace.